One of the things that I find coolest about your music and your style is the mix of cultures and languages. So that's what I was hoping to talk to you today a little bit about, sort of the intersection of these different cultures. And for you, I mean, it's really now sort of 3 different countries with the US, New Zealand, and Japan. What are the differences between American and Japanese audiences?
Americans are much more expressive. So it's easier in some ways to talk to people and have people talk back to you from the audience. Of course, in Japan, it just depends on the audience too. I mean, some of my crowd are very receptive and very warm, and they'll talk and shout back, you know. But I found that in America, you know, there's a lot of people that are very open to, say, new music that they might not necessarily have heard about, but they really love live music here in the US, which I love. So, you know, if they hear a band, they will be drawn to it, as opposed to in Japan, there have been times when we've played a free show at a cafe and we've gone up to them and said, we're going to play music now. And they would go, okay, and they would leave. Like, no, like, but they'd just be like, they don't know what to do, so they leave. Like, oh, you're supposed to enjoy it. But, yeah, so there's a different mentality, I think, towards live music. New Zealanders are probably a bit more like the US when it comes to live music. I think they're drawn to it and they enjoy a live band. Yeah. When touring, one thing that we find different about the US and Japan is that, you know, so Americans, they have a tipping culture, which Japanese people don't. And so when we play performances, people are more likely to tip here, but they're not likely to buy CDs and buy merch as much. Whereas in Japan, I think their form of tipping is we will support. You know, so to them, giving something for free is a very foreign concept, and tipping just isn't really a concept. But instead, what they will do is they will buy a CD or something to show support, which is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that is really
but it's different, yeah.
So this is probably the most favorite part of your music for me, is how you sing in multiple languages, in English and Japanese, and how even sometimes you'll mix those within the song, which I really like, because, you know, I grew up in a household with English and Japanese floating around.
You will like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's very familiar and nostalgic for me. How do you choose what languages to sing in for different audiences? I know some of your songs have Japanese and English versions, so what's the decision making there?
It's a lot of the time it does have to do with the melody and whether I could picture a Japanese fitting into the melody. 'Cause sometimes there are just songs where I just don't think, even if I wanted to sing in Japanese, melody just wouldn't fit. The very latest song that I did write in Japanese, because I'm finding that I'm writing less and less in Japanese now because I don't live in Japan anymore, that even though there wasn't a lot of melody to fit lyrics into, somehow it worked. I can't remember why I thought I wanted this song to have a Japanese version or how it began, but at the end of it I kind of had this Japanese version to it. In saying that, because there isn't a lot of melody to it and I kept the chorus English, this is a song called Still Learning How to Start. Because I kept the chorus English, some people listen to it and go, oh, that's cheating, there's hardly any Japanese. So I don't know if some people might not think that counts, but I would say it's very hard for me to write in Japanese. The very first song that I wrote in Japanese was a song called Stop. And that was after talking to different labels in Japan, and they were like, well, first you're too old. I was 20 at the time. Too old, and you don't sing in Japanese, which is why we can't sign you. So I'm like, what? But yeah, I couldn't change the fact that I was too old, because I couldn't go back to being 15. But I started to write in Japanese, and then I approached the labels again, and then they started to listen. It's funny, just to be really honest, I found that because I was living in Japan trying to write lyrics in Japanese for so long, that my English lyric writing skills haven't really developed. So right now I feel like I'm kind of catching up, like I've come back to an English-speaking country and I'm trying to write songs in English again, but really write songs in English. So you know, the clever lyrics that I used to, when I was in my teens, that I used to really like love and work on, the clever lyrics don't make sense to Japanese people. So I wasn't really trying to develop my English lyric writing skills. And right now, coming back, I feel like, okay, this is something for me to really work on again and press on again. So I feel very lucky that I've had this broad range of, you know, this broad background, and so I've got all these different things I can share and different things I can add to the mix. But it's hard to excel at all of them, you know? Being a mix, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah. But I mean, that's my struggle, but I do have a lot that I can share being a bridge, because I have these two different languages and two different cultures. There's a lot that I can do to share, you know, my experiences and stories of other people, and I love being able to do that. I love being able to come here and sing a song like 311, where I'm sharing stories of people that I met in northern Japan in English. And when I sing that song in English in Japan, you know, I explain that I wrote it in English so that I could share their story to the world.
The smell of nicotine, alcohol, redemption.